Jen here, and I have a layout for you for the Off the Board series. So you can see here I'm showing you what my inspiration is for this month, and basically that's what this series is all about. So every month on the last Wednesday of the month, a whole bunch of us get together and we create a layout based off of something from our Pinterest board, something that inspires us. It doesn't have to be something scrapbooking related. Anything on your board can inspire you. And so I have always loved watching these string paint techniques. I don't know what the technical term for it is. You see it a lot in paint pouring, where they use this technique to create those beautiful images through the pouring medium. And it has that very kind of floral look to it. And I just think it's so cool. I'm always captivated by those videos. So I really wanted to try my hand at it and see if I could do it myself. I have kind of done something similar to this, where you put the string between two pieces of paper. I actually was creating a card, and so you fold the card over and pull the string and you get a similar effect on both sides of the paper. But the paint pouring technique obviously doesn't have a top to it, and so I really wanted to try that on a piece of paper. But I didn't want to use acrylic. I thought it doesn't dry as quickly on paper, and I'm impatient. Let's just say what it is. I'm impatient, and I was trying to get these videos done before I left for our little trip we had to take. And so I thought I'm going to give it a try with watercolors. And obviously it's a bit of trial and error. So you can see as I go, I'm kind of improving my technique. I'm adjusting it a little bit, and my impressions get better and better. So basically what I decided to do was to take some embroidery floss, because it's fairly absorbent. I wanted something that was going to soak up the watercolor. I didn't want it to kind of, because acrylic paint sticks to whatever you dip it into, that kind of is how you're able to lift the paint from your paint palette or whatever and apply it onto the paper. But watercolors don't stick that same way, so I felt like using something that was coated or plastic or whatever, it wouldn't hold the color properly. So embroidery floss is a lot more absorbent, and you can see it just really soaks up that color. And I started with yellow because I figured yellow is easily covered up by other colors if I didn't quite like how it turns out. Watch how nice this red one turns out. Oh, it just looks so cool. So I'm starting to get the technique down. So I didn't have every single one of those colors. Well, I filmed them all, but I kind of cut a few of them out because once I have my technique honed in, you didn't need to see all of those extra trial and error. This is really the technique, the way I think it worked the best. So I dipped my color, I dipped my string into my color, which was really wet, really full of water. And then I went back over the embroidery floss. Once I looped it around on the paper, I went back over it with a wet paintbrush, and just made sure that the string was actually sitting down and made contact with the paper. Then once I knew that the whole thing was kind of stuck down, I took the brush and kind of held the string in place down at the very bottom. You'll see me do it once again here. And that really just meant that the string and all the excess moisture was coming off into the brush a little bit, and that point of contact kind of holds the string in place, and you get that kind of, more bold look to the flowers. So I kept the same string while I was in the kind of that same color family. So I used one string for yellow, orange, red. I used one string for the greens, one string for the blues, and then I did actually switch to another string for this purple because that blue was quite dark, and I wasn't sure if I was going to, or that sorry, yeah, the blue was quite dark, and so I wasn't sure if I was going to get the same kind of vibrant purple that I wanted. But you could just follow the rainbow and use one string. So you can see there, I really let my string soak up as much of that paint as possible. Then you just let it loop around on the paper in whatever shape you want. There's no real right or wrong to that. But the more loops you have and the kind of wider they go, the more of the effect that you get. And then I'm going to soak up some more paint with my paintbrush and go along the string and make sure that all of that string is making contact. And then I'll use my paintbrush to pull the string through at the end of the paper so you get that contact, and then you get that nice bold line that goes right through to give you the effect. And that is how you get those effects. And I think they are so much fun. You can definitely see they got better as I went along, but I actually think the red one might be one of my favorites. So it just depends on the contact that the string makes with the paper as it drags down. So with acrylic paint, again, because it sticks to the outside of whatever you want to use. There's one person I always see on Instagram who uses a metal, the ball and chain that you get on keychains and stuff. So she's got a really long piece of that, and she uses that. It picks up the acrylic paint really well. But with watercolors, you just really want it to be super wet, fully absorbed in the color, and away you go. So, and then the bonus with the watercolor is because you really are scraping off most of the paint and the moisture as you pull the string. This dried in no time. It was super, super quick, and I love the way it looked. So I'm still working through my travel albums and basically just doing one photo at a time. I'm not kind of going through my album and just picking the photo that stands out. I'm literally scrapping them chronologically in the trip as I go because I just really want to get them done. But I had the opportunity to pick a couple different pictures for this layout. I could have done maybe 2 or 3 pictures on this layout. I chose to only do the one, and I picked this one particular one because we are at Hopewell Rocks, and the other pictures show the rocks themselves, but this one kind of shows a bit of the coastline and gives you a bit of a view. And I feel like the shapes that you make with this technique kind of reminded me of the trees in the picture. So that is another inspiration that I took from this pin, was just the shape to me looks like those really tall pine trees that you see in the picture. And so here, once I had that down, I chose the rainbow, because I was playing around with this technique, and I always think it's kind of fun to just do that rainbow. And I thought if it didn't really turn out, I could always use this background on something else because it still kind of has that whimsical feel to it. And I probably could have, changed the splatters into some other kind of design or done something with it. But I ended up really liking how it turned out. And so the second reason why I thought rainbow was good was because the picture is super dark. It's being taken when the tide is coming in. We all kind of had to rush up the stairs. We timed it to be there right when the tide was coming in. So you walk all the way down the stairs. The kids got to experience it without any water. And then we also got to experience that tide coming in. But it was also dusk, and so it was getting darker out, and the picture is just a little bit dark, and I thought that the rainbow colors would kind of liven it up a little bit. But I also wanted to kind of play with how bright those colors were, so I thought that I would just leave it maybe, and then I changed my mind. I'm kind of glad that I didn't start right at the very edge with one of those colors, because I decided that I wanted to have some kind of border around it, and I wanted it to be maybe like a black cardstock. So I was able to cut off about 1/8 of an inch around the whole thing and still have all of those colors represented and see the full shapes. So yeah, I guess that was good thinking on my part. But I picked this paper from Basic Gray. It's kind of got like a newsprint to it, and it's black with these bright flowers. So I definitely gutted the center because, of course, you want to keep as much of that basic gray paper as you can, stretch it as far as you can. But I just thought it was kind of nice because it's not just a solid black piece of paper. There's a little bit of detail to the background and these little pops of color kind of peeking out and some text and stuff like that. Because I didn't want to go too far with any embellishing and cover up the watercolors, the effect that I did. So I thought it would be a good place to sneak a little bit of extra detail and interest into that background. And then you can see here, I just picked one ephemera piece in each of the colors that are in my background. So there's purple, pink, yellow, blue, a couple of blues, like a darker blue and a lighter blue, and there's a couple of greens, kind of that lighter green and then that more emerald green. I have a strip. It's actually the branding strip from the piece of basic gray paper. The back of that paper is actually just black with white polka dots, and it's the full paper, so right down to the branding strip. So I cut that off and I kind of gave my picture and my embellishments just a little shelf in black. I just love how that black really pops those colors. And then I added that little acrylic piece from Freckled Fawn, and that's it. It's a super, super simple layout, but that technique is so much fun and it adds a ton of interest, and I love how this turned out. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can leave them for me down below in the comments, and check out all the links down below as well for everybody else who was inspired by their Pinterest boards today. Until next time, happy scrapping. Stay safe. Bye.